when you love a job, it's hard to leave. But in '07, I began to have some problems. I felt like I was having a stroke. Felt like my face would pull to the side. I had twitching, which I still have. Twitching, I have what's called muscle wasting, arm weakness. By June of '07, I couldn't cut my fingernails with my right hand, and then by the fall, it was hard for me to get things down out of the garage, and I started getting concerned of what to see. My doctor, he sent me to a neurosurgeon who had done back surgery on me in '06. We've been through a few things recently. We kind of joked and told people we're having a bad decade, but one more year, baby, and we got us a new decade coming, so I'm excited about that. But I went to the surgeon, and she kind of within 5 seconds said, I have some serious neck issues, I guess. And they said, this is your problem, and you need to go see a neurologist. So I went to a neurologist, and they put the fear of God in me pretty quick of what I might have. I'll share that here in a second. But we went through all these different tests, MRIs, EMGs, and a muscle test. Had a spinal tap, which I wouldn't recommend. I don't get any sympathy from Jenna. She's had probably 20 spinal taps during her treatment. But I hated that. Went to Cleveland Clinic twice. Still, we didn't have any definitive answers. And during this time, about 14 months ago, I was, because my condition was deteriorating, I was forced to get down to what we call the FAO, which is the fire alarm office. And I became a dispatcher. God opened that opportunity up for me because I could no longer be on the streets. So I became a dispatcher, a 911 operator, and those guys really blessed me and took care of me. But during that time, during all these issues, that we just kept feeling like we kept falling. And, if there's a pothole, we'd fall in it, And the question that Gene and I had the most was that we'd just cry out and say, God, are you here? Are you with us? We just wanted to know that. We're willing to do what you want us to do, but we've got to know you're here. And we needed to hear his voice. And we did hear his voice in some amazing ways. But we learned that you need to be still. You need to be quiet. You need to look. You need to listen. And one thing I want to advise is don't drive around the countryside looking for a stain on a water tower or a cheese sandwich faced like a Virgin Mary. Don't go on eBay and spend $20,000 on that. Please don't do that. People have done that. We heard him in the quiet. 1 Kings 19, the prophet Elijah, he's always doing is being obedient to God. He's confronted King Ahab, Queen Jezebel, you've heard those evil names. And for his good work, he's chased out into the wilderness, hiding and fearing for his life, asking God to take his life. He was so distraught. He cried out to God, and the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said this, "Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord. And behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind tore into the mountains and broke the rocks into pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice." And that's how God spoke to him that day. That's a powerful, very powerful passage to me. It means everything. And that's what Gene and I try to do every day. We try to sit and we try to listen and see him. He has touched us in so many amazing ways. I'm going to try to read this card. Hopefully I can get through it. This was one day when, right before Jenna had her colostomy, it was the darkest time of our chemo walk. And Gina came home for a couple hours to get some rest, and she was in a pit that day. She was down. We always listened to a certain radio station in the morning, listening to soothing hymns and some quiet Christian music. and it kind of gets our mind right. I was telling you about that. And as she was listening to this radio station, she opened a letter, a card from her sister-in-law, and I won't read it all, but it just says, I know that times are tough, you might be overwhelmed today. And she said, here's a hymn that touches me more than anything else when I'm really down. And she wrote it down. It's called "He Giveth More Grace." And she wrote a couple of verses. He giveth more grace when the burdens grow greater. He sendeth more strength when the labors increase. To add affliction, he addeth his mercy. To multiply trials, his multiplied peace. When we have exhausted our store of endurance, when our strength has failed ere the day is half done, when we reach the end of our hoarded resources, our Father's full giving has only begun. His love has no limit. His grace has no measure. His power has no boundary, none unto men. For out of his infinite riches in Jesus, he giveth and giveth and giveth again. And then she went on to just say, I know it's difficult, but God is right there by your side. And I apologize for this again, but the neat thing was, remember, God speaks in still small voices. She read that card and she thanked God for it. And as she was setting that card down on the table, on the radio, at that exact moment, that hymn came on the radio. That's powerful. She's never heard that hymn before. We've never heard of it. We've never heard it since. And some of you may think, well, that's just coincidence, or that's just, it just happened. And you would be wrong. I'm sorry if you feel that way, but you're flat out wrong. That's how God speaks to us. She was so excited, the strength that she was filled with after hearing that. It was like she had just been revitalized, renewed. She couldn't wait to get back to the hospital and share that with me. How am I doing? I'm getting there. I'll share one of this neat thing that happened to me. I was down at the, hold on a second. I was sitting down at the alarm office. I couldn't do what I would love to do at ladder 13. It breaks my heart. But those guys have taken care of me in great ways. When I wasn't on a shift, I still work a 24-hour shift, but when I wasn't on the board answering calls or whatever, there's a big complex. I used to walk around and I'd pray and listen to music or whatever. Well, on that day, I just happened to be in a really deep pit. I just felt horrible. Didn't know what was wrong with me. If anybody says no news is good news, they've never been in a difficult situation. No news is not good news. You want to know. I cried out, I remember crying out to God, please today show me somehow, some way that you're with me. Talk to me, please. And I no sooner got those words out of my mouth, I see this big old tow truck coming my way. A big tow truck. You ain't never seen one this big. It was big. And this big burly looking dude had his head out the window and he's driving, and he's sticking his hand out. And being the good, godly Christian man that I am, I'm thinking, what's this idiot want? Yeah. Well, he reaches down, he shakes my hand, and he goes, are you a Christian? Do you know God? Do you know Jesus? And I almost fell down. I almost fell in the gravel. And he goes, I just wanted you to know God wanted me to come over and tell you that. And he drove off. He didn't say anything else. And man, you talk about tears flying out of my eyeballs. I couldn't wait to get on the phone and call Gene. You will not believe what just happened to me, how God